हुए 100 साल की तारीख गवाह है, साए की तरह साया फिगन हम पे खुदा है, पे खुदा है, हम पे खुदा है।
The Munir Inquiry Commission report in 1953 had clearly declared Ahmadis innocent. The Ahdari mullahs had faced the worst embarrassment ever. A judge of the High Court had taken the mask of piety off and shown their cruel and ruthless face. Mischievous as they were, they could not sit idle and not retaliate. The 1953 episode had clearly shown that courts and the law-enforcing bodies were yet beyond the gruesome reach of the mullahs, and this is what they wanted under their vicious control. They thought of an even more evil plan this time. They knew that a democratic government will bow to no one else but the people. It is the people who bring democratic governments to power, and it is the same masses that are a threat to this power. So, the mullahs now launched a hate campaign, an organized propaganda so as to incite hatred in the people's hearts.
1974 is another landmark in the history of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat. That was the year when the National Assembly of Pakistan unilaterally decided against the community. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was the head of the government at that time. Under his instruction, the whole National Assembly was constituted as a small committee to hear the subject, and finally they came out with one-sided decision, without any reason, without any explanation, that the member of the community is not into the fold of Islam. This decision was taken in 1974, and before that, actually, Allah Almighty is always guiding the community, and the then Supreme Head of the community, Hazrat Khalifatul Masih Salis III, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he convened a special Majlis Shura in 1973. There he mentioned very carefully and very discreetly that the opposition of the religious communities is always there. But out of these difficult times of persecution, the communities always come out victorious. So he explained what is being considered in some circles and what sort of conspiracies are being hatched against the community and what seems to be the plan of the opponents to do to the Ahmadiyya. All these things, its background and its nature and what might possibly be coming out later on, that was thoroughly explained in that Majlis Shura by Hazrat Khalifatul Masih in 1973.
Now then we reach 1974. That was the year in which the state of Pakistan declared Ahmadiyya Muslim community as a non-Muslim minority, and the constitution of Pakistan was amended accordingly, and it was actually put into the constitution that this particular minority of people, they are excluded from the definition of Muslims. Now that was quite surprising. But before I give further details, it must be mentioned that there was a background to it. As I mentioned, that after the martial law of 1953, which was unsuccessful for the so-called mullahs and those fanatic organizations of mullah, Ahrar and Jamaat Islami, the mullahs came back again in 1960s in elections when they were so-called supporting the sister of the founder of Pakistan, Muhtarma Fatima Jinnah, and they were actually in fact pursuing their own agenda underhand in order to acquire the power and to take revenge against the Ahmadis. That was unsuccessful. In 1973, after the fall of Decca and the partition of Pakistan and the segregation of East Pakistan, The government of Pakistan again was passing through a state of turmoil, where the newly elected government, which was being led by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto at that time, was just barely establishing its feet on the face of the government. And that was the time when mullahs from different parties, they joined hands, and then they started building pressure on the government of Z.A. Bhutto that unless and until you declare Ahmadis as a non-Muslim minority under the constitution, we would continue creating troubles for you and we would not let you stabilize as a government.
There was something behind it, and that, be it within Pakistan, the mullahs, the extremists, or even internationally, who were opposed to the Jamaat. And this pressure continued, and it was publicized a great deal that Ahmadis were against the finality of the prophethood, and that Ahmadis didn't believe in the Holy Prophet ﷺ as the final prophet of Islam. And this was given massive media attention and widespread spread amongst the uneducated masses, who took it to be true.
Bhutto was a popular leader. He was the chairman of the largest political party of Pakistan, the Pakistan People's Party. Like in any democratic state, it was the majority of people who had voted for him to be their leader. He did not want to lose his popularity. He knew that the masses had a strong hatred for Ahmadis. The demand to declare Ahmadis non-Muslim was growing day by day. This was the dilemma Bhutto was facing. Either to prove himself secular and liberal, or to prove himself loyal to the mullahs who now controlled the masses, hence the state affairs.
In the elections, during the elections of 70s, the Ahmadis had profoundly, supported People's Party, and because of their support, the People's Party could get such number of votes in Punjab and Sindh that the then government, People's Party, could make their governments in both the provinces and in the centre. So naturally all the political party, and at that time it is a fact that all religious parties, they gathered together, and it was said as if the elections were between Kafirs and Muslims. Bhutto was declared as if he was against Islam, and all the Islam Pasand, the name was called as Islam Pasand parties. That was, but all those parties, were defeated, and the people did not pay any heed towards their Islam khatre mein hai, Islam is in danger, and Bhutto will spoil the Islam. Unfortunately, having defeated the mullahs, Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, I think, was not well advised to resort to religious parties. He having just to prolong his power in the country, he then went to see various mullahs, even Maulana Abul Udad during the night, Maududi during a night, and tried to have their sympathies so that his power goes on or remains.
Now, in order just to save its government and to avoid temporarily the pressure that was being posed by the mullahs and different fanatic religious organizations, Z.A. Bhutto, just in order to gain his political incentives, declared Ahmadis as a non-Muslim minority under the constitution.
So Bhutto stood up to take the decision. He claimed that he will bring the Qadiani issue to a close. He knew not that he was actually bringing to an end the leftover bits of democracy in Pakistan. He knew not that he was actually bidding farewell to his own political career. Muslims have been instructed by their Prophet to remain loyal to the law of the state.